Sir, for the last time, whose child is that?
Son, why are you stopping us?
I told you we got a call, said a black man was seen with a white kid who looked scared.
I wasn't scared. He's my dad.
Calm down, son. I just need to make sure. Don't
sure.
turn this into something it's not.
He's mine because I'm black.
The story of Officer Brent Malick and Marcus Washington is one that reveals the deep-seated prejudice that often overrides facts, law, and even the simple, undeniable evidence of love between a father and his son. It is a story of how quick judgment based on race can dismantle a family's sense of security and cost careers and public trust. This extended narrative, designed for approximately 45 minutes of continuous audio, dives into the trauma, the systemic failures, and the devastating aftermath of a routine walk home from school. Officer Brent Malick had been with the Chicago Police Department for 5 years, but his career was not defined by his service record, but by a disturbing pattern of bias that targeted the very idea of a diverse family. At 29 years old, Malick was responding to a call from a concerned citizen, but he arrived with a conviction already formed. A black man holding hands with a white 7-year-old simply must be a kidnapper. The setting was Lincoln Park, a popular, safe green space stretching along Chicago's lakefront, the kind of environment where families felt safe to walk and play. The weather was beautiful, 78 degrees and sunny, the park teeming with the usual after-school crowd of parents and children. Marcus Washington, 36, was the picture of stability. An IT manager for a downtown healthcare company for 8 years, he commanded a good salary, owned a small 2-bedroom bungalow 3 blocks from the park, and was respected by his peers. But his true devotion, the center of his world, was his son, Eli. Marcus had adopted Eli 3 years earlier when Eli was 4. The process was rigorous, a grueling 18 months of home studies, background checks, financial reviews, and foster care placement before the state of Illinois granted final approval. Eli's biological parents had lost custody due to severe neglect and addiction, and Marcus had taken in a scared, withdrawn 4-year-old who flinched at loud noises. It took months of patience, consistency, therapy, and unwavering love for Eli to finally start smiling, to sleep through the night, and to begin calling Marcus Dad without being prompted. The adoption, finalized 2.5 years ago, made them a family, legally, fully, completely. The fact that Marcus was black and Eli was white was an irrelevant detail within the walls of their home. Love was all that mattered. But outside, the reality was different. They were constantly subjected to stares, intrusive questions about whether Marcus was merely babysitting, and suspicious looks from strangers. Marcus had learned to carry Eli's official adoption papers everywhere, in his wallet, his backpack, on his phone, because he understood that for many, their interracial adoptive family defied the narrow assumptions of what a family should look like. That Thursday afternoon was routine. Marcus picked up Eli from school, and they walked through the park, Eli animatedly chattering about his gold star in reading, his Pokemon cards, and his upcoming science experiment. They held hands, the 7-year-old in his blue backpack adorned with dinosaurs, the father listening intently, kneeling occasionally to match his son's height. The unmistakable, loving choreography of a parent and child. But a person watching from a park bench saw something different, something deeply wrong, and decided to call 911. That person was Patricia Henley, 63, a retired woman who spent her afternoons in Lincoln Park, confusing her own rigid biases with vigilance. She saw Marcus and Eli walking, black man, white child, holding hands. Despite Eli talking excitedly, clearly comfortable, and the body language screaming love and security, Patricia's biased mind manufactured a crime. The boy might look happy, but that could be Stockholm Syndrome, manipulation, or fear. Black man with white child must be kidnapping. She called 911. I'm at Lincoln Park on the east side. There's a black man walking with a young white boy. The boy has a backpack. Something doesn't look right. I think the boy might be in danger. The dispatcher asked if the child was crying or trying to run away. No, Patricia admitted, but they're holding hands and the man is black and the boy is white. It doesn't look right. When the dispatcher mentioned interracial families, Patricia insisted, I just don't think they belong together. The boy is too young to be with someone who looks like that. The dispatcher logged the call as a possible child welfare concern, but the underlying motivation was clear. Officer Brent Malick, 5 blocks away, heard the dispatch, and his mind immediately leapt to the thrilling narrative of a child abduction. Malick's record showed a history that perfectly aligned with this call. 8 prior complaints in 5 years, 6 involving questioning multiracial families or families that simply didn't conform to his prejudiced view of a normal family unit. He had previously detained a black mother with her biracial children, called child services on a Filipino grandfather with his white grandchildren, and detained an interracial couple with their adopted child. 3 of those complaints had been sustained, leading only to written reprimands and meaningless training. The system had failed to stop him. For Malick, this call was confirmation of his biases, not an incident requiring investigation. Malick arrived at 2:51 p.m., spotted Marcus and Eli nearing the park exit, and approached quickly. Marcus saw the officer coming toward them with purpose and felt a familiar dread. "Dad, is that policeman coming to us?" Eli asked. "I think so, buddy. It's okay. Just stay close to me." Malick stopped directly in front of them, body camera rolling, his tone instantly accusatory. "Sir, for the last time, whose child is that?" Marcus stopped, keeping a firm but gentle grip on Eli's hand. "For the last time, you just walked up to us. This is my son. Why are you stopping us? Is there a problem?" "I told you we got a call, said a black man was seen with a white kid who looked scared." Rage and exhaustion flooded Marcus. "Scared? Look at him. Does he look scared? We're walking home from school. He's 7 years old. He's happy. Don't turn this into something that's not mine because I'm black." Eli, sensing his dad's tension, pressed against Marcus's leg. "I wasn't scared. He's my dad." "Calm down, son. I just need to make sure," Malick insisted. Marcus's voice dropped, quiet and filled with pain. "You don't need to make sure. You just can't believe he's mine because I'm black. Stop making it something it never was." This was the core failure. Malick saw exactly what the 911 caller described, a black man with a white child. In his mind, the possibility that this was simply a loving father and son was inadmissible. His prejudice created the crime. He demanded identification and insisted on questioning the child separately. Marcus immediately offered his driver's license and explained, "Eli's adoption papers are in his backpack. I carry them everywhere because of situations exactly like this. And you're not questioning my son separately. He's 7. You're scaring him." Malick ignored the legal reality and the visible distress of the child. When Marcus reached for Eli's backpack to retrieve the official Cook County adoption papers, Malick shouted, "Don't reach for anything. Keep your hands where I can see them." Marcus froze. Malick, over the protests of both father and son, unzipped Eli's dinosaur backpack and pulled out the manila folder. Inside were the official documents: Illinois Department of Children and Family Services, finalization date, Marcus Washington listed as adoptive parent, Eli James Washington listed as child, judge's signature, and seal. Everything was in perfect legal order. But instead of apologizing or recognizing his catastrophic error, Malick's prejudice only deepened. These could be forged. Forged adoption papers with a state seal? Are you serious? Call the courthouse, call child services, verify it, but stop terrorizing my son. Turn around and put your hands behind your back. Marcus was speechless, the disbelief overwhelming. "You're arresting me for walking my son home from school? I have legal custody. The papers are right there." Malick had made his decision. The situation was suspicious. The papers were likely fake, and the calm explanations were a manipulation. He was being detained for investigation of possible child endangerment and custodial interference. Eli was sobbing hysterically now, clutching Marcus's leg. "No, don't take my dad." Marcus knew he couldn't resist. The risk of violence in front of his son, a child with a known trauma history, was unthinkable. He knelt down, hands still visible, and spoke the hardest words of his life. "Eli, listen to me. I need you to be so brave right now. This police officer is making a big mistake. Mrs. Patterson is right over there. She knows us. She'll stay with you while I sort this out. Can you be brave for me?" Mrs. Patterson, a neighbor, stepped forward from the growing crowd of horrified park visitors. "Marcus, what's happening? This is insane. Everyone in the neighborhood knows you two." Marcus turned to Malick, his voice shaking with restrained pain. "I'm complying under protest. I am Marcus Washington. This is my legally adopted son, Eli James Washington. You are arresting me for being a black father walking my son home from school. Everyone here is witnessing this." Malick grabbed Marcus's arms, the handcuffs clicking shut. Eli let out an actual scream of terror. "Dad, no!" Marcus's voice broke. "It's okay, Eli. I love you. I'll be home soon. Stay with Mrs. Patterson." Mrs. Patterson, a neighbor, stepped forward from the growing crowd of horrified park visitors. "Marcus, what's happening? This is insane. Everyone in the neighborhood knows you two." Marcus turned to Malick, his voice shaking with restrained pain. "I'm complying under protest. I am Marcus Washington. This is my legally adopted son, Eli James Washington. You are arresting me for being a black father walking my son home from school. Everyone here is witnessing this." Malick grabbed Marcus's arms, the handcuffs clicking shut. Eli let out an actual scream of terror. "Dad, no!" Marcus's voice broke. "It's okay, Eli. I love you. I'll be home soon. Stay with Mrs. Patterson." Malick marched Marcus toward his patrol car, leaving Eli screaming in the arms of his neighbor, his dinosaur backpack still on his shoulders, his world shattered by the trauma of watching his protector taken away. The drive to the station was 17 minutes of silent agony for Marcus. At the booking desk, he faced Sergeant Antonio Garcia, a 15-year veteran and adoptive father himself. Malick reported, "Possible child abduction, black male with white juvenile. Papers looked suspicious." Marcus immediately stated the facts to Garcia. "My name is Marcus Washington. I adopted my son Eli 3 years ago through the Illinois foster care system. The papers Officer Malick is holding are official state documents. You can verify everything with one phone call to Cook County or DCFS. My son is 7 years old. He's terrified." Garcia, seeing the official seal on the adoption papers, placed the call to the Cook County Clerk's office. The confirmation took just 4 minutes. Adoption on record. Finalized October 9, 2022. Marcus Washington listed as legal parent. Garcia hung up and turned to Malick, his voice ice cold. "The adoption is legitimate. He's the legal parent. You just arrested a father for walking his son home from school. The caller was wrong, and you didn't verify before you traumatized a child." Garcia unlocked the handcuffs himself, offering a deep apology. Captain Linda Morrison arrived, turning immediately to Malick. "You arrested a father for being black with a white child? That's racial profiling. Give me your badge." Malick, still confused by the clash between his prejudice and the legal facts, handed them over. Sergeant Garcia drove Marcus back to the park. It had been 43 minutes since the arrest. Marcus scooped up the sobbing Eli, holding him tight. "I am your dad. I will always be your dad. That officer made a terrible mistake." Within hours, the neighborhood and then the city erupted. Neighbors posted videos and testimony. Black father handcuffed in park despite adoption papers proving he's the legal parent. 7-year-old watches. The NAACP and adoption rights organizations condemned the action. Marcus, with the help of civil rights attorneys, filed a devastating lawsuit against Officer Malick, Patricia Henley, and the Chicago Police Department, citing unlawful arrest, racial profiling, and intentional infliction of emotional distress on both father and child with known trauma history. The evidence was overwhelming, captured on body camera, civilian phones, and official legal documents. The city settled within 8 months for $100,000 paid to Marcus and Eli. Officer Brent Malick was terminated 9 weeks after the incident, his termination citing his sole reliance on racial bias, refusal to verify documents, and his documented pattern of bias against multiracial families across 8 complaints. His name was entered into the National Decertification Index. His career was over at 29. Marcus's testimony at the city council hearing, with Eli beside him, was heartbreaking. "My son has nightmares now. He wakes up crying, asking if police are going to take me away again. He asks me every day if I'm really his dad, if the adoption is real, if anyone can take him from me." He's 7 years old. His sense of safety has been destroyed. He pointed out that he was just a regular black father, not a federal agent, and that this incident proved that for interracial families, love has no color requirement, but prejudice refuses to believe it. The Chicago Police Department faced brutal scrutiny over Malick's 8 complaints. Internal Affairs found systemic failures. Officers were not trained to recognize diverse family structures, and complaints about bias against multiracial families were dismissed. Reforms were announced: mandatory training on adoption, foster care, and multiracial families, required verification with courts or DCFS before any custody intervention, and automatic desk duty for officers with 3 complaints involving family relationship assumptions. Marcus concluded, "I chose to adopt because I wanted to be a father. I went through background checks, home studies, parenting classes, and none of that mattered to Officer Malick because he couldn't see past our skin colors. He didn't believe the adoption papers. He didn't listen to my son screaming. He just saw what his bias told him to see." This story is a powerful reminder that Marcus Washington, holding the adoption papers with the official state seal, his son Eli screaming, and his neighbors vouching for him, had every proof of legitimacy, yet none of it mattered. Because Patricia Henley saw an interracial family and called 911, and Officer Malick agreed, they both operated on the racist assumption that families must match racially, and that a black father with a white child must be criminal. This bias, backed by the authority to arrest and separate, destroyed a child's sense of safety in his own father's embrace. The city paid, the officer lost his job, but the trauma remains, a constant shadow over a loving family, proving that for some, love is simply not enough to overcome prejudice.